Hi everyone. Hello, my friends. So nice that I had a wonderful weekend where I got to see my last video really shared a lot and had a lot of feedback, positive and negative. And I thought what an apt follow-up to the last video by sharing how I would deal with criticism and how I believe is a biblical and wise approach to dealing with criticism. And just to tell you, the number one rule, in my opinion, before we even get to dealing with criticism is don't be afraid of it, because if you are afraid of it, to the degree that you're afraid of it, it's going to cripple you. You won't do what you need to do if you're too afraid that your neighbor or your mom or your mother-in-law or your, whoever is going to think poorly of you, or the stranger on Facebook. It doesn't matter who it is. And thankfully, I have very nice family members who are wonderful, so I don't have to, that was not a targeted thing, but I'm just saying, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're going to be afraid to be criticized, to the degree that you are, you're not going to do what you need to be doing. You're not going to make the impact, the positive impact you want to make on the world. So I want to just introduce this with that. And then really it's just one step, in my opinion, to dealing with criticism. I recently had someone take me aside and say to me, can you ask somebody in the community to do something a little bit differently? She's, I guess, a leader in the community, and the thinking was that we were friends, and would I share with her a piece of criticism? And on reflection and talking to someone who was closer with her than I am, the conclusion was she wouldn't respond well to it. And I think it's really such a shame, because you can have wonderful people who will not hear criticism and then they're stuck where they are. So I personally it's painful to hear criticism, but I also love to hear criticism because it's the only chance I'm gonna have to improve myself. So that's a really important point. And in fact, like a long time, not such a long time ago, but fairly recently, I guess, maybe a year ago, somebody called me and shared with me a criticism about one of my videos. I had never spoken with her on the phone in my life. And she thought it through and she cared enough to call. And I was so touched by her words and the fact that she cared that we became really authentic and real friends, still now. So I really think it has a lot of power to it to hear criticism. So here's the one step that it is to deal with criticism. No matter who it is, if you know the person or not, and no matter how they're saying it, if they're being mean when they say it or if they're saying it very sweetly, there's really just one question to ask yourself when you hear it. And the question is it true? If it's true, then I would apologize and say sorry and try to figure it out on how I can make better what I had messed up. But if it's not true, then I'm more at one with my decision, and I'm going to move on and not lose sleep. But that's the big $1 million question, is to ask myself, is it true? And if I can do that without looking at anything like who it is coming from and how they're saying it, then I'm in a really good place. And last thought is, at my last video, I did delete one comment. Every critical comment I had on my last video I kept, because although it was sometimes very harshly put, I felt like I wanted to respond to it. But there was one person who just wrote like a mean comment, like one of those "go kill yourselves" kind of comments, and I just didn't want to see it. But I did message the person and I said, I want to hear from you, because obviously you're upset. Do you want to share with what you're upset about? Within 4 interactions on Messenger, we had gotten down to what he was upset about. We had kind of fixed it. I mean, he really was 100% okay by the end. He had apologized and moved on. So I guess the other piece of it is that we need to kind of exercise a certain level of caution when we're criticizing, because it's not, sometimes the person criticizing is going to end up looking and feeling remorseful. And no one wants to be in that position. But if we are, we can say sorry, make it up, and move on. So again, the $1 million question is it true? And I hope you really enjoyed hearing that. It's a really important lesson that I've had from my last video. Thank you for everyone who shared the last video. Obviously, it hit a nerve, for better and for worse. And I will talk to everyone soon. Have a good weekend, or good rest of your weekend. Bye.